Hello, good evening, good evening, good evening. We are right on time. We are right on time. We are right on time. So, thank you for coming in and sharing a piece of your evening or your afternoon or your day with me. I am Antoinette Marie Williams of Antoinette Marie Speaks, and I want to come on today just to first say, how was your day? How did everything go for you? How did your children act today? Good evening, Lori. Come on up in the room. Come on up in the room. And so we have a fantastic, hey, Shamika. I knew you would be on, Shamika. So we have some fantastic information that we're going to share. So as my sister and Lady Queen would say, get your pen, get your piece of paper. I also want you to share this video because I am going to be dropping some platinum nuggets on tonight. And I think you all are going to kind of see some of this information that I'm giving. I want you to see it from the lens that you need to see the lens in, right? So share this video. And I'm gonna give us just a couple of minutes so y'all can get everything that you need to get it together. So definitely listen, I have my pen and my piece of paper. I have my notes as well. And I really, really want everyone to be successful. I want you to be a winner. I want you to be a winner. I want you to win. And so I am also speaking to male and female, because there's something that I heard somebody say that money is the answer to all problems. I know y'all don't think that's in the good book, but it is. So we are going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about everything that has to do with money matters. So I say we get into it, right? Are you ready, Lori? You ready, Shamika? Let me know if you're ready, or if you're not ready, I'll sit here and eat my blueberries. Just give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Give me a thumbs up, Lori. Give me a thumbs up, Shamika. Okay. All right. So the first thing that I want to do is that I want to put a disclosure out here. And I have opened this up particularly as well to all military families, and particularly military spouses. I want to first say to those that are military spouses, whether you're male or female, thank you 100% for your service. I appreciate you more than what I can really tell you. I know many people have been called and reactivated to duty based on some of the things that have happened in our country. And so for myself as a military spouse, I'm trying to show off my shirt, y'all. Proud wife, yeah. I wanted to just say from my family to yours, thank you. Okay, you ready? Pam says she's ready. Okay. So I first need to do this. I want to first put out a disclosure. I am not a stockbroker. I am not a professional planner when it comes to having people to give me, access to their funds and then me trading for them or me investing for them. I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't have any license. I don't have any of that. But let me tell you what I do know. I bought my first home at 19. I got a little bit of experience, y'all. I've owned multiple properties, and I'm not saying that to brag or anything like that. I said the other piece about who I was not, and I know that I'm not a financial advisor, but I do have some experience in this area of wealth and obtainment and how to invest and how to create a budget and how important that is before you go to even starting to think about investing in cryptocurrency, right? So we're going to talk about it. I hope that I'm going to be able to get everything out. That's why I'm really starting on time, but I did want to let you know that. So I am a mom, I am a wife, and I do know how to invest. And so I want to see you invest, and I want to see you retire, and retire, not just retire. I want to see you retire well, right? I want to see you retire well, right? And so that's my disclosure right there, okay? So, our disclaimer rather. I want to say this. So, someone had asked me, and this actually came in from Bridging the Nations, and we were having some conversations about wealth. So I'm just going to give it to you just really, really quick. And I have my notes here. So the first thing is this. I hear a lot of people talk about investing. I hear a lot of people, good afternoon, Angelique. I hear a lot of people talk about cryptocurrency. But I want to say this to you. I think cryptocurrency has its place. I think stocks have their place. I think ETFs, exchanges, we can get into that, probably not on this particular training, but maybe another one. I think mutual funds, I think all of those investments have their place. But I want to say this to you because I love you. We need to start first with managing your money. So we need to start with what, y'all? We need to start with a budget. I know y'all don't really want to talk about having a budget, but I'm going to tell you this. In order for you to be successful in money management, in order for you to be successful in cryptocurrency, exchanges, options, you have to know how to manage the money that's coming into your home every week, bi-weekly, or every month. And so today, I want to concentrate on just a few areas that I believe will help you manage and also budget your money. So I'm going to be going pretty quickly here because I think that it's absolutely important. And then next week and a week after, we'll talk a little bit about all of those trading securities, right? We'll talk a little bit about that because those are important as well. So this is one of the things I wanted to say. It is imperative for you to have a budget. Now, when I say a budget basically is, what's coming in your home, what money, income that's coming in, and what's going out, right? So we have to start to respect currency. So all money is flow. Money is just flow, right? We have to start respecting that. And one of the things I want you to write on your paper, right away, just write budget. Just write the word budget, right? When you write the word budget, right, it makes you, kind of provokes you to discipline. I know you don't want to write a budget down because you really don't want to know how much you're spending. Well, beloved, too much is given, much is expected, much is required. So you have to know of the resources that you're getting inside of your bank account, your savings account. You need to know what's coming in. Now, some people will ask me, and I'm going to do a Q&A at the end, but some people ask me, should I have a bank or should I have a credit union? Honestly, I say you can have both. Typically, credit unions are a little bit more lenient. You may have a few more programs. Sometimes the interest rates are a little bit lower at a credit union, but you can also work with a bank as well. Here's the thing that we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk to you today about the 50, 15, and 5 rule. And I know you're saying to me, Antoinette Marie, hold up now. You say you're going to talk about budgets. I am. That's exactly what I'm going to talk about, right? It's literally so simple, but it will allow for you to get some focus on what's coming into your home. And it will also allow for you to get focus on what you are spending. The other reason as well about using a credit union or banking institution is that if you use your debit card, you are literally creating a tracking system for your money, right? So think about it. So if you are, let's say you are, I don't give people or organizations kudos, but let's say your bank, and every time you swipe your debit card, that is tracking your money. But what a lot of times happens is that we don't know that we can go into our ledger, people call it a ledger, and you can see how much money you spent on food. It's called categorizing. So you can categorize what you are spending. Some places, and particularly one like USAA, they will categorize what you spend every time you swipe, whether you use a debit card or whether you use a credit card. It will tell you what you spent on food. If you spent it on a payment, it will categorize that for you. So don't, a lot of times people don't know that at the end of the month, you can actually look at your ledger online to see how much money you actually spent, to see also how much money came into your household, right? I know back in the day, I used to, because I was on this system that I was using that taught me everything that you're going to be spending. You take an envelope. I know how many of y'all, give me a hands up, right? That we take an envelope and you put all the money in it for that particular month. And then whenever the envelope has no more money, then you're done. Well, hey, that's how I started. But I'm very grateful that I have moved forward from that piece. And the reason why is because we have technology. I used to keep all my receipts, and particularly when, as a business owner, I would write on them and say, if I had a business meeting, I would have conversation. I would say who the business person was. If it was food, I would make sure that I had the name of the client on that receipt, because at the end of the year, I didn't want to be looking like, oh, what was that meeting about? I would put exactly on that receipt, had meeting concerning marketing. And I would put the name of either my staff person or a client on there. Now, y'all know you cannot write off alcohol, right? You're a business owner. You cannot write off alcohol, right? So separate that if that's what you're doing. You got a business meeting and you guys are having drinks, separate. Tell your waitress, do not put the alcohol on my receipt. That's one nugget right there for you, okay? So let's get into this, right? So I spoke a little bit earlier about the 50-15-5 rule. And this is all that is. I want you to start to aim to allocate 50% of your take-home pay to essential expenses. 50%. And I know you might be saying, Miss Antoinette Marie, listen, that's a lot. Well, I'm here to help you, right? I'm really here to help you. And let me tell you the reason why you do 50%. The reason why you do 50% is of your take-home pay to essential expenses is that allows for you to save, here's another thing, 15% of your pre-tax income for retirement. And I know some of you may say, what is pre-tax income? Pre-tax income is your gross income. What is gross income? Gross income is like when you see your check stub, because most people do direct deposit. Somebody say direct deposit if all your money is directly deposited into your bank account, because that's how most people do it. But not all people. Some people also get their pay on a debit card, right? All right. So 50% of your take-home pay to essential expenses, okay? And then 15% is pre-tax. That's before they take out any taxes, before they take out any allocations. 15% of that pre-tax income, I want you to set that aside for retirement, not necessarily for savings. Retirement and savings is different, right? I'm going to say that again. Retirement and savings is different, but we can combine them for what we're doing right now. Let's combine those together, right? And then how about this? I didn't leave you out. 5% of your take-home pay. Take-home pay is what you actually take home. That's what we call net, right? 5% of your take-home pay for any type of short-term savings, right? Short-term savings. And I'm going to give you some examples of what short-term savings actually is, right? And so your situation may be a little bit different, but I would definitely say you can use that 50, 15, 5 as a rule of thumb, right? Yes, I see some people sharing this video. Share this video. You guys can hit replay. You can do whatever you need to, but I'm going to just kind of take this step by step because this is what helped me. I didn't know anything about finances, right? But I did know where I was, and I knew this. I said to myself, I will never be poor, ever. I will never live a life of scarcity. I shall not do it. I will not do it. So I made a commitment to myself, and I started reading. I'm going to tell you who I started reading. Susie Orman. I got her books. I started listening to her podcast. I started listening, and she was the individual that I can definitely give credit. I think this is my first time giving her credit, where I started just listening. And I'm a scriber, so I would make my own budgets on a piece of paper and a pen, right? And I would just go through it step by step. And this is how I'm going to show you and tell you exactly what I did. Number one, essential expenses, right? So write that somewhere on your paper. Essential expenses, 50% of what you bring home, right? Take home pay. We're talking about what you bring home. So some of you may say, well, I make, let's say 75 grand, right? But what are you bringing home? You may be only bringing in 55 grand because they may have taxed $20,000 of your gross income. 20,000 of that may be for taxes. And typically it might be about 16,000, just kind of depend, right? So your bring home, this is the first thing. Somebody asked me, what is essential expenses? All right. We know this. We know that you need to eat. We know that you need a place to live. Eat and a place to live. And most, we need transportation. I know it's COVID season. Some of us are working from home, but you still need transportation, right? So consider allocating no more than 50% of your take-home pay for what we call must-have expenses. What's a must-have? Y'all give me an example of what a must-have is, okay? Number one, a must-have is housing, a place to lay your head. Where are you going to stay? So for most of us, it's either a mortgage, it's either rent, right? Property taxes. Some people's mortgages are not rolled into their mortgages because some of us don't have a mortgage. Some of us houses are paid off, but you still have to pay property taxes, right? So these are essential expenses, utilities, electricity, gas, water, right? We're going to talk about toiletries as well, but the essential areas, number one, housing. Number two, food, groceries only. Now, I'm not talking about going out to eat. That is not essential. I know we like to go out to eat, but in this particular area, good job, Facebook users. I see what you're saying. Car, medical, health insurance. Good job. So we're talking about food, groceries only. Not if you want to go to Culver's. Not if you want to go to McDonald's or Burger King, which I say don't do that anyway because it messes up with your gut health, right? But food. Unless you are really considering going out to eat as essential and you never cook and you always go out, that's different. But we know we have people that cook, right? Because we can't really go out in a whole bunch of places anyway. So that's two. Number one was housing. Number two is food. Number three is healthcare. So a Facebook user, you are absolutely right. Healthcare. Healthcare is expensive, y'all. So these are areas that are essential expenses. Healthcare, health insurance premium. How much do you actually have to pay for healthcare every single month? Those premiums, right? Unless, and sometimes you may have individuals that may have payroll deduction that automatically deducts those payments out, right? That's a little bit different. because sometimes they will deduct that out, and that's already deducted before you get your money put into your bank, right? So, and any out-of-pocket expenses, prescriptions, co-payments, right? So we got housing, food, healthcare. Here's number 4, transportation. Absolutely right, Facebook user. Thank you for joining me on Facebook on tonight, and my Sister Friends United group. Thank you for joining me. And Angelique, I really appreciate you being on YouTube. Transportation. So I know things are kind of a little bit, up in the air. I heard a couple of people say they sold their vehicle because of COVID. It's possible, right? So in this instance, we're talking about transportation as an essential expense, a car loan, a lease, if you have gas, right? Those are essentials. You have car insurance. That's essential. Parking. If you have underground parking and you have to pay $100 a month for your underground parking, that's considered an essential expense, right? Tolls. If you live in, let's say, Wisconsin, and you commute to Chicago every single week, every single day, that's a transportation expense. Maintenance on your car, getting your oil change, right? All of that, we're putting all of that under transportation. Here's another one, and this is pretty big, right? Childcare, daycare expenses, tuition for daycare, and fees, right? You're right, Michelle. Healthcare hits you a little bit different when you're paying for it out of your pocket. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely, Angelique. Does that include ride services? So if you are using an Uber or a Lyft to get back and forth to work, that is included in your essential expenses under transportation. Good question. Absolutely great question. Yes, gas. Those areas, let me say them one more time, and I want to do one more thing. So we have housing, we have food, we have healthcare, and we have transportation, we have childcare. And I want to say this, any of those other little debit payments and other obligations, we got to put that in there too. What do I mean? One, if you have a credit card, that's considered a part of that 50% essential. Basically, what that means is that you must pay it. You got to pay your credit card bill, y'all, right? If you have a student loan, you need to put that in under the 50% essential expense. If you have child support, you need to put that in under, definitely put that in under, because we love you and we don't want nobody to come get you, right? So you got to pay that. You have to pay your student loan. You have to pay for childcare. You have to pay for transportation. You have to pay for health care. You have to pay for food, right? So put that in there. And if you have to pay, let's say, for instance, alimony, or you have to pay for life insurance. Everybody needs to have life insurance, y'all. Okay. All right. So those are the 5 areas that may have been 6: housing, food, healthcare, transportation, childcare, and any other debit payments. Those are essential. And you take all of that, and let me show you what you're going to do with it. You're going to create. Now, if some of you use Microsoft, you can create it through there. It's basically an Excel spreadsheet. Microsoft has a template already. You can design it however you want. You can put beautiful colors on it. You can do however you want. But I will tell you this, if you have a checking account, it's already done for you. It's already done for you. You go to your bank, you log in on your bank account, if you have a bank account, and it's already done on there. They usually will have like a pie chart, right? And they'll show you, oh, you spent 10% this month on this. You spent 50%. Let what you're already utilizing and paying for, let it work for you, right? So all those things, we want you to keep that below 50% of any money that you have bringing in. So let me give you an example. So I'm going to do small numbers. So if you bring in $1,000 a month, that means what? Only $500. And we're going to use month. no, that's not realistic. Maybe let's do $2,000 a month. So if you bring in $2,000 a month, which bringing in means what? We said net. That's what's hitting your bank account. Cha-ching. That's what's hitting your bank account every single month. That means that what? 50% of the $2,000 of your bring home pay can go to those particular areas. So only $1,000 a month can go towards housing, food, healthcare, transportation, childcare, and student loan, debt, credit card payments, all of that. So somebody just asked, can I do cable too? Because my kids would run me. Well, because of what's happening right now in school and people need Wi-Fi, your Wi-Fi could be definitely considered as an essential expense. Absolutely. However, if we were not in this pandemic right now, you don't necessarily need Wi-Fi. I mean, it's not essential, but you can put that. And one of the things I always say is that when you're creating and designing your budget, you know your lifestyle. You know what's essential to you may not be essential to Pam. Michelle, what's essential to Michelle may not be essential to Shamika. But what I do know, what is essential is where you're going to lay your head at night, how you're going to get back and forth to wherever, or taking your children on wherever, right? Because we're coming out of this, where we are, this pandemic, we're coming out, right? If your son or daughter or children have to go to a doctor, healthcare, transportation, childcare, debit payments, student loans. And I've heard people say, oh, I'm not pay my student loan. No, you got to pay your student loan. It's called debt, and you have to pay your student loan, y'all. Okay. So I want to also say this, just because some expenses are essential doesn't mean that they're not flexible. The great example is small things such as, let's say, for instance, childcare, which is a big thing. But if you have someone that has said to you, hey, you only have, since there's a pandemic or whatever, pay me every other month, or you may have had the opportunity to defer your credit card payments if you spoke to your credit card institution. Be a little bit flexible. You could be a little bit flexible, right? With that. The other thing is that small changes can also add up, such as turning your heat down. You know, we had to bring one of our daughters back in from college, and sometimes she's like, oh, it was cold. It was cold last night. Yeah, you may have to put on some clothes when you go to sleep, because what I don't like to do is I don't want to be hot at night, right? So you may have to dial that thermostat down a little bit and say, you know what? Hey, instead of being 78 at night in your home, gosh, that's hot. You may have to turn it down to 74. Now, to me, 74 is way too hot. It's way too warm. But if you are at 74 and you're like, you know what, I want to save a little bit of money, you will be very, very surprised how much money you can save, even in a quarter, which is 3 months, right? You'll be very surprised at how much you can save. You know, $10 a month from that. And then let's say you stop going out to eat so much, which probably a lot of people, you know, somebody said, well, people are not going out to eat. People are going out to eat because what are they doing? They're ordering out. Uber Eats is coming to the house every other day. Okay, keep that in mind, right? And so those small changes really, really can add up. So if you're in a warmer climate, you know, one of the things that you can do is turning your AC up a little bit, which means that it doesn't kick on until it gets a little bit warmer, right? You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. One of the things I always should tell my kiddos is that, listen, you may have to put on some leg warmers or some long handles or long john. We just call them long johns, because I'm not going to be in a house. And particularly now we're here during the day. So people got their heat on like 80. Oh, you may have to turn that down just a little bit, y'all, in order just to save just a little bit, right? The other thing I want to just suggest as well is sometimes you may have to stock up on certain groceries. I know one of the things my grandmother used to always do. She used to have a deep freezer. She called it a deep freezer. And with this deep freezer, when she was buying certain things, oh, it's funny. When she would have a deep freezer, she would like when she would see certain meats and things like that on sale, she would stock up on that. If you can stock up on that, please, please do. It makes sense if that's the type of lifestyle that you're living. Stock up on those things. Coupon. I don't care if you are a multimillionaire. Coupon, y'all. Coupon. I see Angelique said, I thought Wi-Fi was part of utilities. Well, it can be. But here's the thing. This is the way that you can distinguish it. Utilities, having your lights on, that's essential. Having Wi-Fi is not essential. But it may be now during the pandemic because you may have to work from home or your kiddos may have to do homework. So it would be essential now, right? And that's why I said too, that you want to make sure that you have an opportunity to be flexible in your budget. So if you believe that utilities as far as Wi-Fi is essential to you, then it's essential to you. This is not a cookie cutter thing, y'all. Wi-Fi is essential to you, then it is essential to you. All right. Okay. Here we go. Next. The other thing is too, is that also consider driving a more affordable car, right? So I just want to say, I hope that people, you know, if those of you that got stimulus money and stimulus checks, I hope y'all didn't go out and put that money on a brand new car. No. No. You're right. And Vanico, canned goods are a must. I totally understand. So this $1,200, right? Because you know that once you drive a car off the car lot, it depreciates literally by 20 to 25%. Depreciation, only thing depreciation means just what it says, depreciate, it goes down. The value of that vehicle goes down. So here's a couple of things that you could possibly do. One, you could also think about, we talked a little bit about stocking up on groceries when they're on sale. This is another thing. For those of you that are still going outside of the home to work, think about making your lunch at home. I know, it's like dinosauric, right? But think about it. I had an individual, let me get my calculator. I had an individual that said to me that she was spending $15, y'all, every day for breakfast and lunch, sometimes 20. $15 a day. So she would go to one of those places that you get coffee. You know, she's going there every single morning. And then, so that's about $4.50. And then she's spending like $10 on lunch. So let's say $15 every day times 5 days. That's $75. Right? That's $75 a week. $75 a week, y'all. So if we work, let's say 4 weeks, let's just say that, times 4, this is real simple. Look, hold on. Let's do that again. So she's doing $15 times 5 days, that's $75, and she's working 4 weeks. So let's do times 4 weeks. Look, that's what she's spending. That's what you're spending, $300 a month on takeout, on food, just lunch. Just so if you make $1,000, let's say you make $1,000 a week, you got to do some subtraction because that money is coming out. So you are paying yourself to go out and work, like when you could be really saving money by making your own lunch at home. Vaniqua, you said there are so many apps that pay you change that adds up for just scanning your receipts. That is absolutely true. I have not tried those apps, But I will say this, one day I'll get an opportunity to talk about credit cards and how to really utilize credit cards to your advantage. And that's one of the ways with credit cards that are specifically good for you. And we can talk about that a little bit later. So those are some of the other things. But also, if you know that you have a friend and y'all have both been COVID test free, maybe y'all carpool. I don't know. That is an option though, because gas is expensive. Where I am right now, gas is like $2.45. Maybe that's a little bit okay. Not really sure, right? So here's the other thing too. If you are paying for your health insurance, you may want to consider what's called a high deductible health plan. With the people call it a health savings account. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. So remember those things that we just spoke about. Those essential 50% of your take-home income should be going towards those essential things, right? Housing, transportation, childcare, food, those things, student loans, okay? So now let's go into this 15%. So 15% of your take-home, your bring-home income, I recommend that you put those funds towards retirement, right? Now, retirement is a little bit different from savings. Savings is you have something, and we're talking about that a little bit later too, is something that you really know that you want to get, and you decide that you want to put some money away to save for that. But right now we're going to talk about savings accounts. So I want to just say this to you. It is so important to save for your future, no matter how old you are, no matter what your age is right now. It's still important for you to start to save. If you're 50, if you are 55, if you're 20, it is important for you to start saving, right? And I know from my research, pension plans are almost non-obsolete. They're almost non-existent. It's difficult to go someplace and somebody says, "Oh yeah, we're going to give you a pension." That doesn't always happen, right? And so the other thing that people a lot of times are saying to me, you know, Miss Antoinette, I think I'm gonna have some Social Security. Who said you're gonna have some Social Security? Do y'all see what's happening in this world right now? We're talking about Social Security. So if you do get Social Security, I want to say this to you, beloved, it probably will not cover all of your expenses for every single month, right? If you are blessed to get Social Security, it probably will not cover all of your household needs once you get to Social Security, say that 5 times, age, right? And so you're going to have some money somewhere. You just are. You're just going to have some money somewhere. And so I would suggest, because this is what I have done, that every piece of money that comes through your home, or let's say your income that comes through, that you retirement save 15%. In fact, I also want to say to you that if you think that you're going to have Social Security may only provide 40 or 50% of your household needs or what's essential, right? So let's say, for instance, if you have Social Security, if you're thinking that you're going to get Social Security, and your Social Security payment every month is, let's say, $1,000, right? But your bills, your debt is $1,500. Where are you going to get the other $500 from? That's why it's very important to save for retirement, right? Because the Social Security is not going to pay for everything that you need, even though you might be older, and maybe though sometimes people feel like they're, like, my children need to work because you got to take care of me. No, that's not always how that works, right? So we talked earlier about being flexible. You got to be flexible in your mind. You got to be flexible in your mindset as well, right? So 15% of your pre-tax household income, you want to set it aside for retirement. And now, if you want to do a little bit more, this is just the base, right? We're just talking about the base, right? And so I want to tell you, so that 15% of your pre-tax household income for retirement, and that also includes your contributions and any matching or profit sharing contributions from an employer. So what is matching? So if you have an employer that says, hey, we love you, you're great, you're dynamic, and because you are our employee, we're going to match up to 4% of what you place in your retirement, what you save, or your 401k, basically, right? So when you don't, when your employer tells you that they're going to match up to 4%, so let's just do some numbers. So if your employer comes in and they say, we're going to match 4%. So if you put in 4% of your pay, we'll put in 4%, up to 4% of your pay, right? So some of you have to now go back to your employer, to your HR, working with somebody in benefits, and ask them, does my employer do a match on my retirement contribution? Make that be your assignment, that you go and you ask your HR benefits department, does my employer who you work for have a match? Do they do any retirement match? You will be surprised. And particularly when people have been working for companies for a length of time, they forget. Because, it's hard to change a habit. It takes 21 days to change a habit. So if you've been working at an organization, corporate America, for 5 years or 3 years, or even sometimes 2 years, and when you did your onboarding, they told you all this stuff. But what do? We just sign because we're happy and we're excited. We forget that they said they're going to give you a 7% match. When you don't take the match on your retirement, you are giving away free money. That's basically you just throwing it out of the window. So when your employer says, listen, we appreciate you so much as a valued employee, we're going to match you 4%, 5%, 6%. I heard somebody say that their employer matches 10%. Take the match, right? So go back and have a conversation with your HR, your benefits department, and find out if they are offering a match on your funds. Because if they are, and you are not taking advantage of that, you're literally throwing money. They're paying you to work basically on top of what they're already paying you, right? Everybody likes them some money, all right? Okay, I said like, not love. All right, so that's that. So the other thing too is start early. Start when you're 20, start when you're 25. The other thing is save consistently. Put everything on automatic. So when you go back and you take a look and you realize, wow, they do a 2%, 5%, 7% match, right? We know that you want to retire and save at least 15%. I used to always do mine at the max. 15%, I'm doing 15% because this is what I do know. Sometimes you'll hear people say, oh no, I need that. Listen, it may be $5 a week. That's different. You can't even hardly get a cup of coffee for $5. You're not going to miss that $5. I guarantee it. If the difference is $5, you're not going to miss that $5, y'all. All right. So just remember that. Be consistent in your retirement savings. Some companies have a thing where if you say, okay, I'm going to save 15% or I'm going to save 10%, because you can build up to the 15% if you just not there, right? Flexibility, right? But some companies have it where they'll say automatically, and I know Fidelity does have this option, right? Fidelity does have this option where if your employer utilizes them for their 401k, there's a little tickler at the top left-hand side, and it will say that you want to every year, you want to go up a level. Or sometimes you'll hear people say, well, I want to increase my contribution by at least 1% every single year, starting on January the 1st. Some people, like me, because I was so into saving, I want to increase mine by 3 to 5% every single year, right? Some people can't do that. But even if you can do it 1%, increase your contributions at least 1%. Now, if y'all have questions, I know this is a lot of information. If you have questions, just put it down in the comment section. I just want to know, am I going too fast? Is this too much information? Do I need to speed up? Just let me know. It's real different doing a training virtually because you can't really see people's faces if they got it. So help me out. I would appreciate it. So the other thing is this. So we talk about a 401k, right? A 401k plan is for your retirement. An employer will offer a 401k, right? Typically, if you are self-employed, you don't get that advantage to have a 401k, typically, right? The max amount of money that you can put is 2021, brand new, we're in January. The max amount that you can put into a 401k is $19,500. Shamika, will you please put that in the comment section for me? The maximum amount that you can place in your 401k is $19,500, right? That's the max that you can put. There are a couple of exceptions, but I'm not going to go into exceptions, right? There's also, when you talk about looking at your pre-tax money, there's also something called an IRA, individual retirement account. Now, many times we hear people talk about this and they're talking about the traditional account, right? And I definitely want to say, please speak to your benefit officer about some of these options. Talk to your benefits officer about some of these options. If you work for a nonprofit, you may have something called a 403b savings plan. The only difference between a 401k, majority difference between a 401k and a 403b is who you work for. Typically, 401ks are for-profit companies, for-profit businesses. They utilize typically a 401k. 403b typically are utilized by nonprofit organizations, right? So if you had a 401k and IRAs, ooh, child, you are doing great. So you can, we talked about 15%, you can spread it. So if you say I got 15%, I want to put, let's say, if your company does a 4% match, you want to put at least 4% up in there. So that means you're getting a match up to 8% of your money, right? So you putting 4% in, you can put that other 11% in a IRA. There's also something called a Roth IRA. You want to consider a Roth. Roth has lots of advantages. After you've been and placed your principal, your money, into a Roth IRA, you can actually pull from it. You can actually pull those funds from that particular IRA without penalty based on your situation. If you have a hardship, you can also pull from your Roth as well. So nowadays you hear a lot of people talking about their Roth. I would suggest doing a Roth because that's really, really important. Okay, so let's go a little bit further. Let me check the temperature. Are we okay? Somebody say okay down there. All right, so this is what I want you to think about. Here's a strategy, right? So how to get to 15%. So if you're contributing that amount right now, great, awesome. You're doing a fantastic job, right? A fantastic job, right? Also, I want you to also remember each and every year, typically organizations or companies will have meetings for individuals that may want to do some changing. It's kind of like every year they may have like a benefits meeting. I know those meetings, many times people don't go to. They'll just, select, oh, I'm going to do the same thing I did last year. I'm going to do it this year. Don't do that. You may be missing out on absolutely fantastic information. That's maybe where they tell you that they're upping the match for the 401k. Go to those meetings. Another strategy is to start contributing at least enough to meet the employer match. We talked about that, right? So now let's go into the short-term savings, right? So we talked about the 50, essential. The 15, we're talking about retirement savings, and then the 5%. 5% is this. This is where everybody's like, oh yes, 5%. Let's get to the 5%. The 5% is this, short-term savings. Everybody can benefit from having an emergency fund. And this is the area where I really want to just do a really good dive in for the next 7 minutes. And the reason why I want to say this is because I hear a lot of people talking about crypto currency. I hear people talk about stocks and particularly singular stocks. Like I hear people talking about, you know, their stimulus checks, and that they went and they placed their stimulus checks into cryptocurrency. I love you, but that would not be the way that I would do it, right? And I'm going to tell you the reason why. You need, beloved, to have an emergency fund. What's an emergency fund? An emergency fund is when you are driving down the street and you run over a nail and 3 of your tires bust. But if you don't just put your stimulus check into cryptocurrency, how you gonna so now you got to go through and you got to try to convert that currency back over to American dollars, if you could even do that. Because some of the platforms, and I'm not against cryptocurrency, I'm here to educate you, because many of those platforms like Coinbase, there's a few others, and I try not to say names because they are not endorsing me. You're not really owning the shares, right? Shamika knows this. You're not owning the shares. It's a platform, right? So if you're going to do that, you may as well do something else, right? There's a company out there called Grayscale, you know, that's actually on the stock market. That's actually doing the same exact thing. I heard today before I came here was that there's a gentleman that has actually lost his cryptocurrency key, his passwords, his login, lost it, cannot find it. You know how much money he has in cryptocurrency? Over $2 million. Over $2 million. Your password typically, you know, people talk about wallets, but typically a crypto password can be over 100 letters and numbers. He has lost it. So he $2 million he has no access to. I want you to scale back. I want you to think. I don't want you to get out of this hype and the trend. I want you to take care of home first. Take care of home first. And the way that you do that is this. You have to have an emergency fund. Your emergency fund says, I am responsible. And particularly if you have a family, right? An emergency fund is like an illness, or you get, or hopefully, God forbid, you have a job loss. Something happens, right? You have to be financially prepared. You have to be financially prepared. I'm going through my notes, y'all, right? For things that may happen. So I always say the good thumb is to have enough put aside in savings. And I'm going to talk about savings account. I am not an advocate of, you know, you should not, you know, like if you got 10 grand sitting in a savings account, oh, help me. I want to teach you how to do that a little bit more savvy. Not better, just savvy, okay? But a good rule of thumb is, and this is Antoinette Marie speaking, I know other places will tell you, oh, have 3 months of funds in the emergency funds. I say 6 months. Have 6 months of household essential dollars in you. I know, Beniqua, I know, beloved, I know. Of 6 months, you can do it, of essential expenses, right? So think of an emergency fund more like contributions to a regular bill every month. So you hear people say all the time, pay your emergency fund first. right? At least within there, right? Until there's enough to build up. So that may be, okay, some people got a stimulus check. Instead of you going out and buying and purchasing cryptocurrency, put that money in a CD, certificate of deposit, build up to your emergency fund. So if you know, we're going to just use even numbers. If you know your essential, your household debt, food, housing, mortgage, student loans, all of that we spoke about earlier is $2,500. Let's say it's $2,500. If you got a stimulus check, and if you got another stimulus check, depending on how, some people got big stimulus checks, I was told. I'm saying I would not be utilizing that money for cryptocurrency right now. I would be utilizing those funds for an emergency fund, 6 months of an emergency fund. So I know it's going to sound like, oh my God, how can I do that? So if you know that your bills and your essential, that 50%, remember that 50% of essential expenses is $3,000. I feel like Tyler Perry. So if you know it's $3,000, right? If you know it's $3,000, I know this is going to sound crazy. You take 3,000, you took times 6, 18,000. I know you're saying, listen, Miss Antoinette Marie, ain't no way I can save $18,000. Yes, you can save it. Yes, you can save it. I just showed you that you can save at least $300 if you're going out to eat and spending money on lunch, but it's time. It's over time. I'm not saying to save 18K in a year, but start doing something. So you have this training, and now you can look at it and say, because now you have the knowledge. You can't say, oh, I didn't know. And then as you're getting ready, you driving to the let's say to the park, and all of a sudden something happens, your what's that called? Your transmission goes out. How you gonna pay for that? If your car is used and it no longer has the manufacturer warranty on it, who do you think paying for that? You paying for that, right? So you have, and I know a transmission can cost $2,500, $3,000, right? Ask me how I know. Mm-hmm. So take baby steps, right? Put money away. Put 5% of your bring home money, put that in an emergency fund. Some people will put it in a savings account. I want to just say this. Savings accounts right now are yielding 0.0001%. Maybe. Here's another option. Open up a certificate of deposit, which is basically a CD. There are some places that I just saw a couple of days ago that are giving 2.96%. Is that a lot? No, it's not. But you got to take baby steps, right? So 2.96% is better than 0.001%, right? So it can gain some interest. It can help gain some interest. Now, I know some of you that are at a different level might say, hey, I took, a stimulus check and I invested it in Tesla. Well, I don't recommend that if you don't have no emergency fund, because let me tell you what's going to happen. And I don't recommend, and particularly for beginner investors, to invest in singular stocks. It's too volatile. It's too volatile. So Tesla did a split, and then, all of a sudden it came back on the market. It was like, 400. Now it's 800, and people are like, yay. But let me tell you, investing in singular stock options, you can lose a lot of money. You can gain a lot of money. But let me tell you this. Don't do that if you won't have no emergency fund. So let's do the math. So if you make $3,000 a month, right? What's 5% of 3,000? I know we got some mathematicians On here, I know we do. We got some mathematicians on here. So you take 3,000, you times 5%. That's $150 a month. That's all. $150 a month. That's all you have to save. If you make $3,000 a month in income that's coming in your house, just save 150. If you save 150, you times every month for a year, you times that by 12, that's $1,800. You are on your way to developing your emergency fund. But I know, because I believe some of you are even more savvy than that. But think about it, $1,800 a month. Some of y'all got a stimulus check over that. Some of y'all got two that was over that, right? So we're talking about that 5% short-term savings, right? Short-term savings. Here's the other thing. While many emergency funds are meant to have you to save, but also what happens if you get invited to a wedding, right? Or a gender reveal party and somebody needs, you want to buy a gift, right? How are you going to get that? Or you crack your smartphone screen. And we know that you still, even though we paying insurance, you still got to pay some more insurance for that for that phone, right? You still got to pay some out of pocket, even if you have the insurance, right? So these unplanned expenses, right? Flat tire, we talked about that already, right? So I want you to just really think about that. You want to make sure your kiddos may have, some things that they have to pay for. That's what your emergency fund can be for. But when you set aside 5% of your monthly take-home pay, that can help pay that, where you're not struggling, right? Or you don't have to borrow from your mom or somebody in the family, right? And I would say this, have that 5% to be automatically taken out of your paycheck and deposited into listen now, deposit your 5% of your take-home pay in a separate account. I didn't say separate bank, but you can if you don't have the discipline, because some people, they see their account and they check in, and then they see what's in the savings and they do a little peekaboo. Oh, I can go and get this. No, you got to be disciplined, right? But when you have that money to automatically come out of your paycheck and you deposit into a separate account just for short term, can help you meet your goal. It can help you meet your goal. So anything that has to do with money management, money matters, you got to have a discipline. You got to have a discipline. I'm going to stop right there just to take a couple of questions. If you guys have questions, and ladies, if you have questions about anything that I have shared with you today, we talked a little bit about the 50, the 15, and the 5. Just remember that, right? 50, essential. 15, retirement savings. 5, emergency fund. Get that emergency fund, because when a lot of stuff starts to open up, and I heard some information about, well, they can't kick people out of their homes. Let me tell you something. I was a property owner, or landlord, or whatever we want to call it, and people were kicking people out of their homes, right? When people are falling on hard times, and and people lost their jobs, people still, even now, people are being kicked out of their homes, y'all. And I just heard the jobs report. There was over 150,000 people lost their jobs, filed for unemployment. I'll just say that, filed for unemployment, right? Guess what? Fact check me on this one. All of them were women. All of them were women, right? Check it out. CNBC, check it out. So I wanted to do this training just to help just to help you and give you some nuggets, some information that I really, really believe that will help you as you become and you walk into this millionaire status that I truly, truly believe that you will be walking in, that you're already walking in. Here's the other thing. Somebody just asked me a question. I don't know why they're texting me, but asked me a question. Do I have to pay taxes on stimulus money? No, because stimulus is not income. Stimulus funds, yeah, them checks that you got, that's not considered as income, right? So just do this, right? The next question I have here that somebody has asked me was unemployment. Now, here's the thing. Some people got a lot of money from unemployment, right? So I saw somebody that got like $400 or $500, no, I think she got $300 a month, just regular unemployment compensation, and then $600 on top of that. Let me get, hold on. So if I can do singular math, I can do pretty good, decent at, math, not no algebra and not no geometry and definitely not no calculus, but I can do some regular arithmetic. So if they got $600 plus $300 every week. That's $900, y'all. That's $900 times a month. Let's say 4 weeks. Yeah, $3,600. Individuals were getting paid $3,600, y'all, in unemployment. If you filed early and you were in the time span of whatever the time span was, $3,600. Now, let's just say that's for 1 month. Now, I'm not really sure how many weeks people were getting this, but let's just say they got that for 6 months. Let's just say 6 months. All you got is real simple. Times 6 months. This 1 month times 6. Let me see what that come out to. $21,600. So some people actually made more on unemployment than they made working their regular job. If that was you, I'm not promoting that, because I think if you got a family, you need to be working unless you have another source of income legal that you don't have to, right? $21,600. Now that's before taxes taken out. And I know a lot of times people say, oh no, it's unemployment, I don't have to have taxes taken out. Listen, leaning a little bit. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, you do. They're going to take out taxes on unemployment. So if you are on unemployment and you're not opting to have taxes taken out, when you file your taxes, 2020 taxes, in these next couple of months, beloved, you're going to have to pay taxes on unemployment, right? You don't pay taxes on stimulus, but you pay taxes on unemployment. So if we go back to somebody's made $21,600. If you didn't take taxes, then you may be at a 7% tax bracket. So you just take 7% out of that. Or let's just look at these numbers. $21,600, and you're going to tell me you cannot budget? That's a nice emergency fund, right? So let's just say you made this for 6 months during COVID, right? So let's just say for 6 months, your bills were $3,000. Let's just say $3,000 for 6 months. 3 times 6, right, is 18,000. So let's minus 18,000. You still should have $3,600 someplace. And at $3,600, we're doing gross here, right? So please don't send me an email like she did gross. I know I'm doing gross, right? Just follow me, be flexible. $3,600, beloved, you should be putting into an emergency fund, right? You should be putting that into an emergency fund. Then when you have income, regular and steady income coming in, you're contributing all those essentials, household, rent, a mortgage. You're doing all those things that we spoke about. I'm going to do a quick recap and I'm done. You did all those things, those essential expenses, housing, food, healthcare, transportation, childcare, student loans, paying off credit cards, child support, alimony, health insurance, life insurance, right? And then you have decided, okay, I got that taken care of. You got funds. Then you go 15% of retirement savings. You're going to contribute to your 401k plan. Your employer does a match. If they do, they do a match of 4%. You need to at least invest, place into your retirement account at least 4%. Because if not, you're leaving money on the table or you're just throwing it out the window, right? If you also look into investing and retiring, rather, because it's a little different, into a Roth IRA, right? ROTH. Yes, you're going to pay the taxes now, but when you pull that money out, when you retire, you're not going to pay taxes. You're paying taxes up front. And yes, there is something called a traditional IRA. You can do that as well. It's just the opposite. You're going to not pay the taxes now for a traditional IRA, but when you retire, you're going to pay those taxes, right? We talked a little bit about stimulus. If you receive stimulus, is that income? No, it is not, right? Unemployment, taxes. Do I have to pay? Yes, you do, right? So you're taking that 15%, you're investing in your 401k if you have one with your employer, you're investing in or a 403b if you are part of a nonprofit organization. That's typically what they have. The maximum amount you can contribute to a 401k is $19,500 for 2021. Typically. Okay. The maximum amount you can invest into an IRA, whether it's a Roth or a traditional, is $6,000. There's something called makeup, but I'm not going to go into makeup if you're like 50 and over. I'm not going to go into that. It's $6,000. Now, let me tell you this. Typically, the stock market, I'm going to leave you with this, and then y'all let me know if you want me to come again next week and dive into investing a little bit more. Typically, the United States stock market yields about 7% every year, which means that if you invest in stocks, mutual funds, a lot of people know a lot about mutual funds, but there's also something called ETFs. We can go into that a little later, another day. But the stock market typically yields about 7%, right? And so if you have funds that are above and beyond after the 50% of household essentials, after the 15% of retirement savings, and after the 5% of an emergency fund, and you still have coins left, come talk to me. Because then that's when you say, I need to be looking at maybe stocks, index funds, bonds, ETFs, mutual fund options. That's all they are. They're options, right? Securities, they call them, right? Cryptocurrency. Then that's when you do that. Because this is what I know for sure, is that Antoinette Marie, I just want you to be well. I want you to be well. I want you to live well. And I want you to retire well. You know, I looked up today and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm happy about, well, I am kind of semi-retired, but you know, as you age and you see some of the things that you're doing, you're like, wow. Right? So prepare yourself. And that's what great parents do. They prepare themselves. And let me say this too, and I'm done with my notes. Listen, if you don't have life insurance, you need to get you some. Now, I'm not saying that you need to have $5 million in life insurance and you don't own anything. Don't do that. because life insurance typically is for you to pay off debt that you have so that your children don't have to pay it, right? So if you hear people coming in saying, "Oh, you need $5 million in life insurance," why? If you don't own a home, if you don't have a lot of debt, there's no reason, to do all that. But I'm not an insurance agent either. I just have a lot of life experience, and I want to give whatever I have, the experience I have. I want to make sure that you're able to get it as well. So I am done, y'all. And I want to say, if you have questions, if you want me to do this next week, just let me know. And you can just say, I don't know, just say money matters in the comment section, and I'll do something else on next week. Maybe we'll dive a little bit more into budgets, but then we will go into investing and what that looks like and why should you invest. I'm going to tell you this, there's a whole bunch of people that became millionaires in this COVID season. Y'all, don't let it fool you. People invested into some great options. I'll say that, stock, securities, whatever, and made a lot of money, We don't, thank you, Lori. We don't covet money. We don't love money, but money is necessary for us on this planet. It is necessary. It's necessary, y'all. So don't let people, trick you and be like, "Oh no, just give all your money." No, money is necessary. You have a family, and even if your family is just you, maybe you want to save up for a vacation. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I just want to show you how to do it, right? I just want to show you how to do it. So, as always, this is Antoinette Marie of Antoinette Marie Speaks. If you have a husband or you have a wife, love on them. Let them know that they are important to you. Thank you, Vaniqua. You're very, very welcome, beloved. Thank you, Lori. Thank you so much. Thank you, Michelle Hardy. I love you, Annette Flower. Thank you so much, Shamika. Lady Queen, I appreciate you. Pamela Bolden, thank you, my sis. And our beautiful Facebook, or handsome, either Facebook user, I want to say thank you too. I really appreciate you. Enjoy life, and that more abundantly. Let your children know that you love them. Let them know that they are important to you. And even if they don't come back and say, "I appreciate you," I want to let you know I appreciate you every single day. Love on somebody. Let them know how important they are to you. This is Antoinette Marie Speaks, and I will speak to you later. Bye.